Rent. Mainly rent.
Mainly rent.
A lot.
I worry about my children.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cost of living means a lot of younger people having to stay at home longer.
Big inflation in terms of, prices when COVID hit. And now that that's gone, prices have stayed the same.
Yeah. Hey everyone, we're just here on a bit of a grey day here in Perth, and we're just asking the punters on the street about the cost of living crisis and how it's affecting them and what they think can be done about it. Come with us. Of course, in my opinion, the government has created this problem that we've got here, and not only do we have a very safe city, we haven't got much of a city at all left because all the businesses are going bust and people are getting evicted from their houses because they can't pay the rent and the mortgage and all that sort of stuff. So very, very safe city when there's nobody left. Hey there.
Hello.
Look, we're just asking people about, there's a bit of a cost of living crisis here in Perth.
There is, yes.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's a very hard question, actually. I think it's from a lot of things, really. A lot of things. It's definitely making it hard to live.
And how's it affecting you?
Rent. Mainly rent. It's
Mainly
gone
rent?
up a lot. Yeah.
Groceries?
Groceries, a lot. Yeah, everything. Fuel, rent, anything you can think of. Can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
Barely.
And any ideas what brought this about that you think?
No, so I think it's so many things. Other countries, this country, different politics, anything really. It's definitely hard, especially for Australians. As somebody who's 22 years old, it's definitely made it harder to live.
Yeah.
Definitely different from when my dad was growing up, what he could do compared to what we can do now.
Well, it's not only
Working the same.
mortgages that are unaffordable for you guys, it's rents now as well.
I thought that being at this age, I'd probably be able to afford a house, and that's not an opportunity right now. If you can barely afford groceries, and I work 5 days a week, 8-hour, 10-hour days, it's just not in the picture.
And you still can't afford it?
No, still can't afford it. And I work so hard, everyone works so hard, and it's just not an option. Yeah.
Any thoughts what'll happen in the future for you?
No, just trying to work to buy food.
Okay. Well, thanks.
rent.
Thanks so much,
That's
eh?
all right, no worries.
cheers.
Have a good day.
You too. So here we are in one of the malls, or interjoining malls between the big mall and the next one. And these used to be packed out with little shops and little businesses, and look, they're all boarded up now. And this is the state of what's going on here. This is one of these little interconnecting thoroughfare malls between the main malls here in Perth. And as you can see, there's a lot of empty shops here of what used to be thriving businesses, food shops, all sorts of shops. And now, look at it, it's just a ghost town. So people just don't have money to spend when they're out now. They're struggling, Here we go, this used to be a cake shop or a deli, barber shop. There's a Miss Maud, that used to be a Miss Maud's, yep. And of course, I remember coming to this food court, which is now completely closed. And if you come into the city, you'll notice that there's a whole lot less people walking around in the city. And of course, that's my guesstimate, but I've had this confirmed with some other people I know walking around. There's just not the same amount of people walking around the city, and here's the result. Closed businesses. People just don't have the money to spend anymore. So we're just walking around, there's a lot of closed businesses. We're just asking people about the cost of living crisis that Perth seems to be in the middle of.
Yeah.
Is it affecting you?
I mean, as a young person, absolutely, Like, you hear a lot of stories about, grandparents, even parents, young parents, my parents had me at 20.
Yep.
And, they were still able to buy their first home by their mid-20s. And I'm 22 now, and there's next to no hope.
A lot of people can't even rent their home, let alone buy it.
Living with my parents, and even they've noticed it enough to be, they're not pushing me really to move out, because even they're seeing, how much it's affected them. So yeah, it's been pretty brutal.
Yeah, and what do you think is the cause? I mean, obviously it's multifaceted, but do you have a main reason you think? I believe it's the way the government shut down the economy and et cetera, et cetera.
I think a few things would go into play there for sure. I think, you know, I think there was a bit of sort of a big inflation in terms of, you know, prices when COVID hit, and now that that's gone, the prices have stayed the same.
Yeah.
And so they haven't fixed what they were trying to do in the first place.
Yeah. Can you see any way out of this? Can you see an answer? I mean, I know a lot of people that are now looking at moving into their car.
I mean, like that, I can't see another answer, to be honest, apart from living in your car or, you know, living with 5 mates so you can afford to split a, you know, 1 week's worth of rent.
Yeah. I just spoke to a girl same age as you. She's working full time.
Yeah.
She can't do any more, and she just can't afford to feed herself. And you know, it's
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you can be a full-time worker. I don't know, 10 years of saving 80% of your money, maybe you'll be able to buy a house. Like, and that's for the average person. You know, maybe you make it or get a house given down to you, and that's lucky. You're lucky in that case, but for everybody else, just sort of stuffed. Yeah, not much you can do.
Do you think consumer behaviour has impacted the perception of cost of living at all? A lot of young people are spending like $150, $200 on nights out, and sometimes the same people complaining about the cost of living.
Possibly. I'd say probably less of them are spending that much money on a night out now.
Yeah, well,
But
I don't know, it's pretty expensive. So
yeah, I know, it's $20 a drink or something.
$50 Ubers, you know, $20 a drink.
Yeah.
So
I thought all you young people went out and like had a slab at home and then went out. You know, what do they call that?
You can't get into the clubs if that's the case.
Oh,
you know,
right.
so
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
depends.
I know that's where the girls are at, but
Yeah. Otherwise, I think the cost of housing to actually enter the market is probably a bit ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah. And our government's let overseas buyers buy it all up, which you can't do in other countries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what people could do, which isn't ideal though, is probably get on the first home buyers grant. If you buy a house in one of the more rural areas on an empty block, you can get 50 grand from the government.
To build a house?
Yeah, as part of the first home buyers grant.
What a pity though, by the time you get through council planning and etc., you've probably spent that 50 grand. There's no houses.
Yeah, it is, but you know, that is something that they are doing to try to help. But
Sure.
What do you think the solution is?
Oh, look, well, they could cut petrol excise immediately.
Yeah.
They could do that tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? That would save up everyone
Help quite a lot.
half their petrol bill. They could buy food with that. That's one option. I think they're just too addicted to all these taxes they put on everyone, and so everyone's just being taxed to hell, really.
I would agree. Everything is taxed from.
Yeah.
Do you think any areas of the government's tax revenue could be better used to help the cost of living?
Sure. Yeah. I think, what is it, $1 billion we've given to the Ukraine war now? Because we're to our proxy war that we're involved in. There's a bill that could build a few at least homeless shelters, couldn't it? $1 billion. It's just ridiculous what they're spending money on, and they seem to be drunk with spending. They just spend it.
Let's build another riverside hotel.
Yeah. Let's buy some submarines.
In the city.
Another cactus. Yeah.
Pretty sure they spent millions on the cactus.
Yeah. No.
And that could be spent doing such insane stuff. It's like, it's a piss take, pretty much.
It's corruption is what it is. This country is corrupt, and all that money going overseas to the Ukraine, it doesn't go to Ukraine, it goes to, weapons manufacturers.
And they just won't tell you that either.
No.
You know, there's
Closer to civil unrest.
Yeah.
I do.
And that's probably part of the housing issue, why everything's so expensive. So no one knows when everything's about to crash.
Yeah, well, I personally believe it's a planned thing to upset the apple cart so that everyone does get cranky, and suddenly they can bring in martial law like they brought it in last year or the year before with the COVID stuff.
With a lot of the people that you meet that find it hard to enter the property market, are they finding it difficult to get that first deposit, or is it they don't have any savings at all?
I just think the price of property means that there's not going to have enough they're not going to have enough money for a deposit. And anyway, to sign up with a bank these days, I mean, the banks have made more profits in these last few years than they ever have, ever before, out of people's misery.
During COVID as well, they made a lot of money.
It's quite strange how you saw a lot of those companies during COVID double, tripling revenue.
Yep.
And you've got, kids like I graduated in 2019, so my first year out of school, when we had our gap years planned, when we had our internships planned, work planned, that got cut off. You had to stay inside. The 18-year-olds just graduated, ready to head out into the world.
So forget about money, think about people's mental health after all this.
And that massively, that's affected a generation in a whole different way.
The whole country's got PTSD after what's happened.
And I don't think we'll see the worst of it for another few years, so unfortunately.
I think overall, the cost of living means a lot of younger people having to stay at home longer. So I know a lot of 26, 27, 28-year-olds still living at home, trying to save up for their first home.
And then you get to the other end of your life, the scam of the retirement villages, right? Where you think, oh, well, I work my whole life, I can pass it on to my kids. No, you have to sell the home, so you've got a deposit to get into the scam retirement village.
Yeah. My grandma was just in a retirement home not too long ago, and I think over about 5 years it cost them $600,000.
Yep.
So,
When you go in there, they're just hoping you die quickly so that they can make up the bed for the next person, get that next deposit in.
Correct.
And as far as the bank's concerned, when you put your $100 in there, they keep $10 in and they give $90 to the next, loan it to him, who he also puts his money back into the bank. No, of course it's not really. It's a scam. These people are criminals.
I think the last thing as well was obviously the groceries supermarket crisis, and that's the duopoly being Coles and Woolies.
It's not a duopoly. They're both owned by BlackRock.
Okay, there you go, even worse. So that's
When you,
the majority of the issues then,
when you look at what companies BlackRock own,
Everything.
there's three. I know BlackRock's the top.
Yeah, there's a few of them, not
But-
just BlackRock, but they own
they're
Coles,
doing it
Woolies,
together.
all the banks. Yeah.
the farmers are getting stuffed over by Coles and Woolies in the same process, getting locked into contracts at certain prices, and then when the market changes, they still have to stick to those certain prices and producing certain quantities, or else they get fined. So it really is quite a tough situation for young people struggling with money, and farmers.
Like you can't eat healthily as someone our age on the average 22-year-old's income. You cannot rent and eat at the same time.
So you'll be eating processed foods, which are full of these inflammatory oils and all, and
But the thing is, testosterone.
Yeah.
The thing is,
glyphosate.
they're putting that in everything anyway. So by the time I'm, I want to go for say a week's worth of groceries, spend $250. Like I've got no more money to spend.
My advice to you is just to buy red meat. Just to go carnivore. Don't worry about all this processed stuff because you don't actually need it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
As somebody said, it was a meme. There's no cave paintings of salad. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, you do see them take mushrooms, but it's different sort of salad. I think.
So if you can get some bulk red meat, just keep eating that.
I think that's the
That'll
best
be the
way
best
to
thing
go,
for you, and it makes you leaner as well. But thank you for your time, guys, and for your honesty. And we're Max Freedom on YouTube.
Max Freedom. Sweet. Give it a look up.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Last thing I'd say is that if they can make a way where people can buy direct from farmers, cut out the middleman, I think that'll help a lot with daily.
I think that's the ultimate answer. We forget about the banks, we forget about the government, and me and him and you. I've got some tomatoes, he's got some potatoes. That's how it's worked for centuries.
Sure.
We've got to go back to that.
And it's not like, we're without everything. There's still going to be people making clothes, still going to be people making custom leather. Like, if you want to spend money big, you can.
Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't have to be like
A big funnel for a few massive companies,
Exactly.
which is what it's turned out to be. And let's not even touch on the medical side of things, maybe for another episode. Okay. Thank you, guys. You're champions. Take care, brother. We're just asking people in the street about the cost of living here in Perth and in Australia. We think it's a crisis. How's it affecting you?
Yeah, I'd say it's the same. Yeah, luckily I've got a good paying job,
Yes.
so it's Yeah, it's helpful for
Yeah,
sure, but
yeah.
I mean, it's still, it affects you either way. Like,
Sure.
go and buy lettuce, it's like $400 and, all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
plus on top fuel and then a mortgage, it's up
Yeah.
there. So, just fortunate I got a good job because otherwise
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be in trouble.
Yeah. And do you know anyone who's struggling?
Not personally,
Yeah.
but I think
I-
everyone's in a similar boat.
Yeah, people are worried that they won't be able to afford
Yeah.
to keep paying their mortgage or their rent,
Yeah, that's
and they're
right.
going to end up in a car.
Yep, could very well be the case.
What do you think's happened? What's any idea why we're in this situation that we're in?
I think it was all due to COVID. I think the supply chain, obviously there was issues with, because we outsource a lot of things and we get a lot of things in, I think it's just the supply chain management.
Sure.
That's just increased inflation.
What about the intervention of the government shutting down, locking down populations? Do you think that affected it?
Well, in my opinion, are you going to cut this out or?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you want us
Okay,
to.
I'll give you my moderate answer.
Okay, sure.
I think it was a bit too much compared to other cities in the world.
Sure.
Like you look at Texas in the States
Yep.
and Florida,
Yep.
especially, like there was no shutdowns.
No.
So does that answer your question?
Sure, it does, yeah. Look, brother, thank you so
No,
much
no
for
worries,
being honest
man.
with us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Have a good
cheers,
one.
mate. Thank you. Excuse me, sir. We're just asking people on the streets about the cost of living.
Oh, I'll tell you about the cost of living, all right.
Just a quick one.
A quick one, I'll give you a long one.
Okay.
Long one's even better.
How's it affecting you?
Well, it's affected me tragically. I mean, I've got a wife and 2 kids. We used to have an existence which was quite different from what we have now. We lived in one of the better suburbs, big house, the whole thing. We've had to downscale. The cost is just blown out ridiculously. You talk about your utilities, it's just stupid at the moment, always falling behind, and I think I'm sharing that story with a lot of people. It's just tragic, and I don't know how I've got a reasonable income,
Yes.
but we're struggling.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I've got interviewed some people who've got a full-time job, but they just can't afford
Oh, it's crazy.
They have to choose between paying rent and eating.
Well, we usually owned, but lately we've been renting, and now we're just also we're slaves to the real estate agents or the managing agents. I mean, you're scared of setting a foot wrong because if you lose your place, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, you're not going to find a place.
No.
It's just ridiculous.
They've got people bidding for rentals.
And of course, then you've got the 2 supermarket system with Coles and Woolworths. It's just stupid. I mean, we try to shop at IGA and use some of the community places, but that's not easily done. I mean, I'll be heading past Woolworths on the way home and just getting a few things, and I mean, I'm constantly shopping. I mean, you can't go out. I remember my mum telling me in the old days, you go to Coles and you spend $50 even if you buy 3 things. Now it's $100 every evening just to get a few things for the house. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
Anything you think we can do about it?
Well, I think community shopping is the way to go. I saw
Yeah.
a program on TV whereby it's basically a co-op, you know.
Sure.
So,
I grow some potatoes, you grow some tomatoes.
Yeah, and also they source things at a macro level, so to speak, and then you can buy things. And there was a guy on TV who said that he was saving 85% of his grocery bill by purchasing it at the co-op.
Right.
So I think you can do more of that. But it just seems that everything's so expensive now. It's just ridiculous. And I don't know how it's going to change. I mean, for me, I don't care. I'm an old bastard now. But at the end of the day, I worry about my children.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a lawyer. My daughter wants to be a lawyer. And I mean, one would expect that she's going to do okay in her life. But with the cost of living, I'm concerned about her getting on the property market. I mean, just crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's going to fix it because I don't think Labor or Liberal have got the answers for it.
I don't think we can vote our way out of this one, no.
Can't vote our way out of this one.
No. Well,
Cannot do that.
We can stick together, mate. We can make it. Look, thanks for sort of stopping.
I think it's just bad policy decisions on the part of both parties. I mean, both parties have moved to the centre.
Yes.
I mean, Labor's not what it used to be. Liberal isn't what it used to be.
It's a uni party now.
Yeah, Labor's implementing policy that would have been Liberal policy 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Liberals have moved more to the centre. And, I mean, it's more of a centrist approach. We're not as polarised as they are in some of the European countries in terms of the political, point of view.
Yep.
But no, I don't know what the answer is.
Some people say it was COVID that put us in this position, and I'd say, well, it's actually the government's response to COVID, I think, put us in this position.
Yeah, COVID contributed, there's no doubt, but the response to COVID was probably lacking, but I don't think there's any easy answers. I think Japan had the same problem 40 or 50 years ago with the cost of living. They fixed it.
Yep.
And I see also there's a lot of people moving into the country. I'd love a sea change myself.
Yep.
But then a sea change means you're disembarking, going to country or seaside, and then what's that going to do for your children? So you're going to be away from town and what have we, but it may very well be the answer, who knows? Or going to live on a Greek island.
Yeah, I was going to say overseas, somewhere where you can take the pressure off and work out what you're going to do.
My brother lives on a Greek island, my big brother, and the cost of living is ridiculously little. I mean, it's just a pittance compared to what we pay. So you can live on very little over there, but by the same token, you are sacrificing the benefits of living in a big city and having hospitals and the fantastic hospital system that we've got. Fortunately, we've got that over here.
We had.
Well, I'd have to look into that a bit closer. I'm not going to make any comment.
Okay, sure. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, well that's it from our rainy day here in Perth, and it's been a bit of a downer listening to people say that they literally can't afford to either pay the rent or eat, so they've got to choose between the two, and these are from people who are full-time employed. I think we have to really stick together here. This is going to be a tough one to get out of, and I don't think voting our way out of it is going to do it. Anyway, over and out. Cheers.